In the top stories, 2 sentenced to life for murder of Leanna Napoleon. Motorist caught on video assaulting cop in Guyana. And tropical storm Eta battered Central America. Hello and welcome to the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Today is Monday, November 9th, 2020. I am your presenter, Shaira Flanders. Nationally, 22-year-old Brandon Lee Wells of Buckley's Estate was sentenced to life imprisonment on Friday, November 6, 2020 for the murder of his sister, 17-year-old Leanna Napoleon. He was also sentenced to 5 years imprisonment for the offense of attempting to pervert the natural course of justice. Wells was convicted on October 11, 2019. The incident took place between May 8th and June 14, 2017. Meanwhile, the friend of Brandon Wells, 21-year-old Travienne Liddy of St. Johnson's Village, was also sentenced to life imprisonment on Friday, November 6, 2020 for the murder of 17-year-old Leanna Napoleon. According to reports, he was also sentenced to 5 years imprisonment for the offense of attempting to pervert the natural course of justice. Liddy was convicted on October 11, 2019. The incident took place between May 8th and June 14, 2017. Additionally, on June 24, 2019, the third party involved in the murder, 28-year-old Ivan Philip of Lagreet, pleaded guilty to the offense of being an accessory after the fact to murder and was sentenced to 5 years and 9 months in prison on September 24, 2019. Leanna disappeared on May 8, 2017. About 5 weeks later, the high school student's body was discovered in a shallow grave in the Olives area overnight on Wednesday, June 14th. An autopsy later determined that Leanna died from blunt force trauma to the head. She was set to graduate high school that same year. And in other news, an autopsy has been performed on the body of 19-year-old Jessroy Mulcahy of Zion Village, Nevis. Resident pathologist Dr. Adrian Nunes conducted the autopsy on November 6th and concluded that death was as a result of drowning due to a cerebral contusion, also known as a form of traumatic brain injury that he received when he fell from the boat. On October 30th, the police received a report at about 7 p.m. that someone fell overboard from the MV Apple Cider at the ferry terminal. Investigations revealed that Mulcahy, who was a crew member on the ferry, went to the bow of the vessel on the port side in preparation for docking when he fell into the water. The St. Kitts and Nevis Coast Guard also responded and searched for Mulcahy with assistance from members of Ken's Diving Center. His body was later retrieved close by and brought ashore, where he was pronounced dead by the district medical doctor. And as we wrap up local news in an effort to keep the nation clean and get persons to appreciate the beaches that St. Kitts has to offer, the Department of Youth Empowerment, in collaboration with the Caribbean Youth Environment Network, or CYEN, and the Coastal Cleanup Movement, held 2 beach cleanups on Saturday morning. The cleanups were held in 2 separate areas with 2 groups cleaning at the same time. The first meeting point was at Limekeen Bay, while the other location was at the Island Bay Road from the cenotaph right down to the ferry terminal. The Youth Service Day forms part of several activities being held to celebrate Youth Month 2020. This year's activities are being held under the theme Celebrating Youth Creativity, Innovation and Resilience. Youth Month is observed annually in November. We now move on to news on the regional scene in Guyana. Another video of cops being assaulted by motorists has resulted in the drunken driver being slapped with multiple charges. Travis Chase of HGP-TV News has more.
A man who claims to be a staff sergeant in the Guyana People's Militia has been arrested and charged for assaulting a traffic rank while he was on duty. A video of the incident posted on social media attracted the attention of the hierarchy of the Guyana Police Force. Police say that the incident occurred after the traffic rank observed the heavily tinted car after it came to a stop at Cornhill and Hatfield Streets and allegedly interrupted the flow of traffic. The rank, as seen in the video, approached the driver and told him of the offense committed, asked him to produce his documents twice, an order which he refused to comply with. Police say that it was after the second refusal by the driver to produce his documents that the ranks attempted to arrest the driver. That's when things got heated. two other occupants who were in the vehicle at the time also tried to prevent the officer from arresting the driver.
Sorry? No, you can't touch me. I'm not talking to you. It's a soldier. You ain't. It's a soldier. It's a soldier. No. Let me touch you. How the hell you gonna do that? How we gonna do that?
During the scuffle, a police constable who observed what was happening went to the assistance of his colleague. That constable, in his attempt to remedy the situation, also asked the driver to produce his documents. The driver again refused. Backup arrived, and the driver and his passengers were arrested and taken to the Brickdam police station. Police said the driver gave his name as Kieron Joseph of Wizrock Housing Scheme, Linden, and stated that he was a staff sergeant of the Guyana People's Militia, but still did not produce any documents. A breathalyzer test was carried out on the driver and his passengers, and those tests proved that they were all under the influence of alcohol. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News.
The National Workers Union, or NWU, has made its position clear to LIAT administrator on the severance pay and other entitlements owed to the St. Lucian workers of the airline. The NWU and LIAT met with the administrator last week. More in this report.
The NWU is hoping that good sense will prevail and the administrator of LIAT will pay former workers what is due to them. LIAT owes workers almost $94 million in both severance and vacation pay, $1.3 million of which belongs to some 37 employees in St. Lucia. LIAT suspended its operations in March 2020 after many Caribbean islands closed their ports to curtail the spread of COVID-19. The mounting debt and fallout from the pandemic forced LIAT into liquidation. Senior Industrial Relations Specialist at the NWU, Lawrence Poyat, says there is a major problem in terms of the employees getting their entitlements.
The employees of LIAT throughout the Caribbean have given over thousands of years of service, if you have to compute the years of service of all the 500 or so employees, and we believe it is very unfortunate after contributing so much to the airline, contributing so much to the movement of people in the region and facilitating regional integration, that today we find ourselves in a situation where the government of Antigua is talking about seeing about their own people, and very little is being said by LIAT in terms of ensuring that the persons in St. Lucia and the other islands are paid what is due to them.
The airline owed creditors in excess of $100 million, or $27 million US. The administration and unions in the Caribbean, which represents employees, met recently to discuss the way forward on payments. The NWU has relayed the concerns of the workers in St. Lucia to LIAT.
We were informed by the administrator that there is a need for the unions to state their positions as it relates to the payment of severance and other entitlements. The National Workers Union communicated the position officially on Monday of this week, letting the administrator know exactly what our members are thinking as far as the entitlements are concerned.
There is talk that the regional airline may return to operations as early as November 2020. Poyat welcomes that prospect if these reports bear out.
They are considering flying into St. Lucia, but we have nothing definite. Nor have we received any official communications as to what the status of the employees who would be retained, under what conditions the employees would be re-engaged. We are still awaiting communications on this issue. Our most important task now is to get compensation for the employees. And we have no objections. In fact, we would be happy if LIAT could fly again and St. Lucians could be employed or re-employed by LIAT.
St. Lucian workers employed with LIAT will be terminated effective November 20th, 2020. Colby DeVoe, HTS News Force.
On the international scene, Tropical Storm Eta has made landfall in the U.S. state of Florida after leaving widespread damage in parts of Central America. Weather forecasters describe Eta as one of the fiercest storms to hit the region in years. Dozens of people have died and more than 1 million displaced in Honduras alone. Al Jazeera's Katia Lopez-Hadian reports.
This is where rescue teams are searching for survivors. Guatemala's Queja village is one of many hit by a series of landslides caused by Storm Eta. An indigenous community of about 1,000 people live in this area, and authorities fear many may have been buried alive. Across the country, more than 60,000 people have been evacuated, and more could follow. It's a similar scene across southern Mexico and Central America. The storm has displaced around 1 million people in Honduras. This U.S. Army helicopter rescues some flood victims who've lost everything. Floodwaters have left dozens dead and scores homeless. For now, entire communities will have to call shelters like these home. Their only personal space is outlined by floor mattresses that lay next to one another.
We need help because we're left on the street. Everything is flooded. People are asking to be taken out of their houses because they were trapped.
The river overflowed and water washed into the homes of dozens of families. We lost all of our belongings in the flood. We've been left with nothing.
In the U.S. state of Florida, the storm could bring more chaos. In nearby Cuba, tens of thousands of people have evacuated their homes, and many are bracing for the worst.
In my house, we are ready. We filled our water tanks, including one on our roof. My sister went to look for bread and I bought butter. We've been searching for things and preparing ourselves.
Eta is being described as one of the fiercest storms to hit the region in years. Governments and rescue teams in several countries fear this may very well be the beginning. Katia Lopez-Odoyan, Al Jazeera.
At least 40 people have been killed in the run-up to and during last month's presidential election in Ivory Coast. Al Jazeera's Ahmed Idris reports.
At 51 years old, Teresa Bo is passing through the most traumatic period of her life. Her son's body is still in the morgue 3 weeks after she says security forces shot and killed him.
I've nothing to live for now. He was my support and my hope. Now he's gone. Stepping out of the house is equally hard. I don't know how to react if I meet his friends.
Her only child, Amar Kirsi, was killed during a protest in Ivory Coast opposition stronghold of Bonua. But his father can't say whether the 17-year-old was part of the demonstration.
When I heard about the shooting, I went to the gendarmerie barrack, from where the corpse of my son was taken to the city morgue. No one told me how my son was killed.
Opposition supporters accuse security forces of using excessive force against them, while they look away when government supporters are out on the streets, an allegation the police deny. At least 35 protesters have been killed in violence with security forces in the run-up to and after the October 31 presidential election. This deeply divided country is yet to find closure for the post-election violence that killed 3,000 people between 2010 and 2011. Many Ivorians fear the recent unresolved killings are responsible for the climate of fear and uncertainty in the country.
The government has promised justice for the victims, but blames the opposition's calls for civil disobedience and attempt to set up a parallel government for the deaths. The opposition, for its part, says it's the president's bid for a third term in office that was the cause of the violence, and only his departure can resolve it.
As the government and opposition continue to pass on the blame, victims and their families are waiting for accountability. Distraught Teresa Abo says she has little faith that her family will ever get justice.
What justice? I leave justice in the hands of God. He will exact my revenge.
Security forces still maintain strong presence around the homes of opposition figures in the economic capital, Abidjan. Many have been arrested and others are on the run. It's hard to say if the continuing crackdown is enough to take the steam out of the months-long opposition protests and prevent more deaths and agony. Ahmed Idris, Al Jazeera, Bonua.
And now for the weather. Present weather is cloudy. A moderate breeze of 16 miles per hour is moving in an easterly direction. Current temperature is 27 degrees Celsius. That's 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Expect cloudy skies with a 70% or high chance of showers and a slight chance of thunderstorms today, and cloudy spells with a 40% or moderate chance of showers tonight. Moisture associated with the passage of a tropical wave could produce some showers across the area today and tonight. Sunset today will be at 5:37 p.m. and the sun is expected to rise tomorrow at 6:13 a.m. And that brings us to the end of the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Join us this evening for these stories and more in detail. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am your presenter, Shaira Flanders. Have a good one.